Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Red Devil Experience. My name is Eric. Hope everybody is doing well. Amorim out, trending sort of again. It is the discussion in the topic of Manchester United fans after the fallout, obviously, of yesterday's terrible performance, loss, and just misery came out of from yesterday. So we're going to be talking about, we're going to have this discussion. I think there's a lot of changes that can be made in the squad right now. Obviously, we have more matches coming up. We need to be looking at things that we can be doing that the manager should be doing and is able to do at the current moment in time. And we're sort of just going to be talking about, what's sort of come out of this because of yesterday's performance and yesterday's loss. I've seen a lot of sort of different points across the fan base, a lot of different discussion, a lot of people, there are many people that are very unhappy, obviously, but they are Amorim out. Many people talking about the formation and the system once again. And many people, are talking about, listen, we need to change and swap personnel in the team. And, I'm not Ruben Amorims out. I'm not going to be, because I said, not at this moment. I think still the table is close, and I know that performance yesterday was absolutely horrible. I think there's blame to be, put on all around, players, manager, and everybody involved. And, I gave some thought yesterday to comments that were being made in our lives and some of the things that other people are saying on other channels or on other platforms. I understand what people were talking about with the three center backs, and having the wing backs, and being a man up. And listen, I think. At the point in time, it took me a little bit to get there, but I get what they're saying, because they weren't being so specific. I would like them to, if they said, at what exact moment they wanted him to do that, but it seems like they were asking for as soon as we went up a man, change the whole thing. So I still hold true to the fact that I don't believe that. From what I saw from the majority of the team, basically the entire team, maybe barring a player or two, in Kobe Mainu, which, listen, the levels were so low that I don't think there was really a high bar to hit there. So, but I just don't, I think when we come out as a team, as a unit like that, I just still feel like we could have literally played that game. Somebody commented this on one of my videos yesterday. We could have played that game till Christmas, and we wouldn't have scored, and we wouldn't have won that match. And, so I understand what people are saying. Grace says, if he gets Conference League, would you keep him? But what position is that? Is that 8th or 7th? Because, some of our members, for me, some of our members have been saying, like Lucky has been saying, that he views the squad of getting top 8, 7th, I think. I don't know. It's a hard call. I think 7th, 8th, if you compare it to last season, it's obviously clearly an improvement, but you have the argument of how can you really do worse than what we did last season? And, I still have sort of a high aspiration and high hope for this team in terms of that. Looking at the league, I know we're inconsistent. The league is inconsistent as well. I still feel like that there is an opportunity there for the taking. We have to sort out our stuff. And I don't know if we're going to be able to. I think that's the biggest sort of thing. Many people will say we're not going to be able to. But, football, you just never know. Exactly. Yesterday, I don't think any of us really thought that we were going to lose 1-0 at Old Trafford, and have, and be up a man and lose at Old Trafford. So I think, it's not bad finish. I don't really like Conference League. I would want the team to finish higher. Would it be a sackable offense? I don't really know, to be honest. I don't really know. It's a bit hard to balance it there. But where I sit right now is, and how I feel is, I've said, as long as it doesn't get absolutely dreadful and horrible, and obviously the next match or two is going to be, it's going to be a bigger indication, or it's going to set the tone in a bigger spot, because we didn't get the result yesterday, and that was one that we expected to get the full 3 points. We now have to go play Palace. But my whole thing has been, I want him to get at least the full season. I want to see what happens. Now, if it gets to a point where it's like, if we're like 12th, 14th, and we're so far away, and the gap is big, and it's getting bigger for European spots. I mean, listen, the season, people will say the season is over, but I mean, at that point, if the season's over, what's the point in letting him continue to the end of the season? But, if we're in the mix, we might miss out. But I see many people saying, like, we have a good opportunity to get Champions League this season, but we can't do it with this manager. And I don't necessarily agree with that, because we've seen changes in the middle of seasons, and it hasn't necessarily worked out for us in our benefit. It hasn't led to better results necessarily. It hasn't led to, greater things in that season. It's actually sort of played a hand in derailing the season. The last 2 times we've done it, we didn't get a bounce. It didn't work. So I think if we're in the mix, I'll go to the end of the season, and I guess I'll sort of assess at the end of the season and see what happens. I think it's a perfect opportunity as well, because obviously, his contract would only have 1 year left, and so really Ineos would have to assess as well. Is that progress enough, and is it good enough? So I think the time for that would be probably close to the end of the season. Let's see where we get, and let's see what happens. Gray says, when everyone is fit, who 100% starts next season, and which position should we prioritize? Well, who starts? I mean, De Ligt has got to be. I think if Martinez is fit and he's back in, butcher form, and he's playing well, he's got to be in there. Lenny Yoro, Lemons, of course. He go into the midfield. I mean, I think we all know that we need midfielders. So, and I think we probably need two midfielders. Part of this discussion is that the changes that need to be made, and we can argue about system and formations all day, but I think at the minimum, the easiest solution that he can do is change personnel right now and shift players around. I mean, we were talking a little about it in the Discord. I see it being talked about online. That's why I went live and sort of wanted to have this discussion. There's a bunch of different things. I said it one way. Grace said something a bit different. Not completely different, but just sort of different. There are many different options that you can choose to do with this current squad. And you can mix things around. And you can try different things. So when I'm speaking about the manager and the current situation, I just think that, like, I've always said, I've said this for Ten Hag, I said this for him, and I'm just gonna keep saying it because he hasn't. I don't feel like he's really doing it. I don't feel like he's done it. He needs to help himself by making some changes. That midfield, we did the shows yesterday. I was thinking about it last night. I woke up this morning thinking about it, and I'm just like, I don't want to see Bruno Fernandes in the midfield anymore. And unfortunately, there's a part of me that just knows he's going to be stubborn, and he's just going to keep playing him there, and he's not going to make the changes. But I think that's where I have probably the gripe with the manager. It's not really, the system formation at this moment in time, because I think even with the system and formation, you might not like it, you might not think it's good, but I think there's a couple levels to this, and it's like the system and formation might not be good enough, but it could work, and it could be better if you change personnel in it. If you take Bruno out of there and not play him in the midfield, and we change, left wing back, and we've had this discussion. We don't know if Luke Shaw, I said it yesterday, Luke Shaw for me, and this the reason why I'm advocating for him to go left wing back is because he is clearly the best crosser in the team, which is a kind of a bit sad, but to a certain extent. But he is clearly the best crosser of the ball, and he is experienced. He's he's injury prone. Can he still play left wing back at his current state? Does he have the fitness for it? Is there a medical reason that it's more intense? So maybe that's why he's less injury, like he's being less injured right now because he's playing a less demanding position on his body. We don't necessarily know these answers. We can speculate, but they know the answers. But there are a few things that we can do in there to change it up. So, Lawrence Burry says 6th and 7th can be Europa League. Palace also got it for winning the FA Cup, as Spurs won UEFA, and Newcastle got UCL with 5th. So Forest and Villa are in Europa League. And Lawrence says we bought Dorgu and Heaven last January, so the winter window policy is changing. And Grace says, so are you playing Bruno over Cunha then? Well, for this current situation that we find ourselves in right now, I mean, I guess it's a temporary sort of fix, and then I think you got to go from there. I think what he should do right now, and he should test this, since he likes to do it anyway, right? Since he likes to sometimes leave Sesko out of the game and go with a false 9 and play that, why not have a front 3 of Bruno Fernandes, not at striker, but I'm saying Bruno Fernandes, Mbeumo, and Cunha, and do it that way, and get Kobe in the midfield, because again, I don't think, like, I think I think he wants Bruno there because he wants pressing and he wants legs in there, and obviously Cass doesn't have legs, and he's kind of using Bruno to sort of like supplement, but it's not working because Bruno doesn't help. In the only thing Bruno can do is like sort of be like a deep line playmaker and like connecting the defense to the attack in passing, and then like in the final third in the attacking phase, like he can get shots and he can make passes, but defensively, when we don't have the ball, he is useless to us. So it's just to me, how I see it, I'm just like, you're doing something to supplement one thing, but it's causing problems in other areas. So it's not really a fix. It's not really a solution that's really helping the team. It's like you're healing your leg to shoot yourself in the arm. It doesn't, it's not really working. So, but in this moment where I think it wouldn't be bad to test, considering that Sesko is out and Xerxes is not sharp, and at a lack of minutes, why not try and then put Bruno up there and have Mbeumo and when Cunha is back, because Cunha's injury doesn't seem to be serious and he should be back by the next match. Why not try that? Why not get Mino in? Just try something different. I don't know if Luke Shaw can play there, but if he can, if there's no medical reason, if you're using Luke Shaw as a left center back because he's left-footed and he's an experienced player, I mean, it's like, take a shot on Aiden Heaven. I mean, when I saw last season, he played pretty good. He lost a couple opportunities to injuries, and he came on, I think, one time in this season. When he came on, however many minutes it was, 10 minutes, he didn't look that bad. He actually played pretty decent. He was pretty strong. So it was like, take Luke Shaw and put him at left wing back. Because Dorgu has been terrible, and Delo, obviously, he hasn't been good, but he's even worse on that side because he's a right-footed player. It makes it worse for him to play on that side. Like, if he's not in form and then you're playing him on the left-hand side, he's just going to struggle even further because it's even harder to play if you're not in form. You know what I mean? I don't think Xerxes will start again, so it might be Mason Mount starts as a false 9 and Bruno as a left 10, but there is Sesko and Cunha both to come back. Well, the thing is also, I mean, at some point, we're going to lose Mbeumo, and we're going to lose Diallo, and we're going to lose Mazawari to AFCON. So we might have to make changes now. Now, at first we were told that Sesko was going to be out for about 2 to 3 weeks. I saw an update yesterday or I think it was when I was watching the match, they said that Sesko might be up out to 5 weeks. So I don't know what's going on with Sesko and how long he's actually going to be out. I guess 3 to 5 weeks. But they initially told us in the report that Sesko was going to be out for like 2 to 3 weeks. Yesterday, when I was watching the match, they said Sesko out to 5 to 6 weeks. So if he's out for up to 5 to 6 weeks, I mean, we got, we're gonna have to do that, and by the time that happens, we're gonna lose them to AFCON, and just on AFCON, like, United have to release these players. It's not when AFCON starts. We have to release them like a week or two before it actually starts. We're supposed to, at least. Now we're trying to negotiate with the respected teams on I guess a better time for us, so that we can keep them a little bit longer than we actually might have, than we might have to. But I seen the update before. I don't know exactly where it went, but I did see that, like, we are supposedly required to, release them like a week or two ahead of AFCON actually starting. So I don't know what the actual date for AFCON is, but it's going to be before that. So Gray says, only if we had a midfielder who could drop in the back line what Stones did for Man City, then play Mbeumo and Ahmad wide, then Mount and Bruno as 10s. Yeah, I mean, listen, I get the points. It's just that it's unfortunate that we don't have that grace. You know what I mean? And and what it is that, like, we need to figure out some sort of solution. Maybe it's not a permanent fix. Maybe it's not the best fix. But we have to do something to try and at least attempt to improve our odds and improve our chances and improve our performances. I feel like, especially with the midfield and the left back situation, it's like he keeps trying to like sort of run through the wall head first and get past this problem. But it's actually worsening, and it's getting so bad to the point that it's like it's not even worth it to try and continue with doing this, because it's the negative effect of it is far outweighing, and it's far greater than any potential benefits or anything coming from it. So, the situation, if we had something different, even if we get to January, even if United go, you know what, the midfield is way bigger of a problem. We thought we needed 2 midfielders. We're gonna get 3, and we're gonna get 1 now, and we're gonna go get 2 in the summer. And we got to get 1 now in January. Even if they do that, we still need to figure out what to do from now until, if you make a January signing, I would assume it would be the 2nd or 3rd week of January. I think it would probably take that long. So from this time now, and then we have a lot of games coming up in between that time, we have to figure out something. Something has to happen, because we're tailing off on the back end. We're going backwards now. We had a 3-game streak. We were doing well. We won those matches. We did okay in the Tottenham and the other match. But we collapsed, and the result wasn't great out of that, and we were left disappointed. And now we get to this match, and we failed miserably, and it was disgusting, and it was just a shit performance all around, and a disgrace result for Manchester United. So over 6 matches, we started like this. We started down here, but we started going like this, and then we've now curved, and we're going down. So we need solutions. We need answers. We need to change things. And I think for Ruben Amorim, I think the most logical thing, and I think the most minimum thing, like many people still hold true, that they don't like the system. And I said yesterday, listen, if you don't like the system, it's fine. My job is I'm not trying to convince you to like it. I'm not trying to say that you're wrong about it. I'm just saying that we know he's not going to change it. And if that's the case, at a bare minimum, he's got to be willing to change personnel. He's got to be willing to try different things with different players in different areas and different positions, switch a couple things around. Because clearly the two biggest problems we have right now is that midfield, which is specifically Bruno Fernandes in it, and then the left wing back position is a disaster. So we need to do something about that. Ruben is putting 3 midfielders on in the second half because Mason can play hybrid 10. Kobe was behind him last night, and it pushed Bruno further up, but he's not a box finisher as we saw. And I'd like to see a fuller midfield via strategic substitutions, where the wingers or attacker wingbacks are intact, but Kobe and Ugarte can drop behind Bruno playing a hybrid 10. And that's what I'm saying. Like, he can do things like this as well. And he needs to start doing these sorts of things. I think it's really unrealistic to say, to throw out the whole system or throw out the whole formation and stuff like that, because it's really not going to happen. And really, we've been here before, but when you say that sort of thing, really, for you to get that, the manager needs to be sacked. The only way you're getting a different system and a different formation, and starting formation and like consistent system and starting formation is you need a new manager. So if the system is really that bothers you that much and you're that convinced that it is top priority and it is a major problem as to why we're struggling to perform, then you're not going to get that till he's no longer the manager, if that happens. But he had a couple quotes, he had a couple things to say after the match yesterday as well, and I think that here, I just found it. It said, under AFCON rules, players must be released 2 weeks before their opening games. So let me just see when AFCON actually starts. AFCON start date. So AFCON starts Sunday, December 25th, 2025. So we are actually required to release our players, Mbeumo, Amad Diallo, and Mazawari, 2 weeks before. So that's 14 days. That's December 7th. So by December 7th, which we're not far out, supposedly. Now we're trying to negotiate and maybe keep them a little bit longer, and maybe we keep them for one extra match. Maybe we can get a week out of it. I don't know what they're going to allow us to do. Obviously we have to come to some sort of agreement with them. But when you put that into perspective, I mean, if we can't even come to an agreement and they hold their foot down and they say, no, it's our time. There are players, and you are required. These are the rules, and we're not going to give you extra time. December 7th is in 2 weeks or so. So Sesko is probably still going to be out. We're going to lose Mbeumo. We're going to lose Diallo, and Maz is going to be out as well. So he's going to have to make some changes. And I think during that period, I don't think there is an excuse, and I won't accept really, what he says about it, because I think if you can't take and put, we're missing all those players. If you can't take Bruno and put him up there with the exclusion of all these players and get Mano in and just see how it goes in a match. I mean, because what's happening right now is not working either. So, our biggest problem last night though was not lining up a reserve 9 in the summer. Well, I listen. I said this as well, and I said when we had the summer, I kept saying I had no problem with keeping Rasmus Højlund as a backup because I truly believed we needed 2 strikers. Then I said, what happens if Sesko gets injured? What happens if Sesko is struggling to adjust and he's not performing well? What do? We don't have an actual striker. But clearly their plan and their idea, and this is Ruben and everybody else involved, was that we don't necessarily need the second striker. I mean, he talked about this the other day, and he gave a reason for it as well that I don't necessarily... I see what he's saying, but at the same time, it's like, well, you're doing it to Josh and you're doing it to Kobe, so why wouldn't you be okay with doing it to Rasmus? You know what I mean? Because he said, they asked him about Rasmus, and he said, how can you convince, or how can you tell basically Rasmus that, like, you're basically not going to play and you're just going to stay here? But we all know Rasmus wanted to stay and fight for his spot. So if that was the choice, I don't really accept that answer. I think that that's sort of a load of nonsense, to be quite honest. I think the club didn't want him, and I think the club wanted money, and then they spent money on the striker, and they spent money on the attack, and they were like, get Rasmus out. So, City had Grealish and Mahrez as wingers, and they had to work hard defensively, but they had Stones step back into making a back four, so the wingers didn't have to be wing backs. We need this. Yeah, I know that is what they did, and we can do things like this, and this is what I'm saying. Like, he can do things like this, and this is why, like, it's not about taking the whole system and formation and throwing it out the window to go play a 4-1-2-1-2, because under him, it won't work. Now, if you get somebody that's what they play, and it fits to the squad strength, then okay. Like, it's a different conversation. We're in a different topic. We're in a different area. But for him, playing the way he plays, you can make adjustments to it. You don't have to throw it out. You don't have to completely destroy it. You don't have to completely play something that is total opposite to what you're doing. But you can do things like Grace is saying. You can do those things 100%. It's not, that's not a huge change. It's not massive. It's not like reinventing the wheel. It is, changes to play slightly different. And he talks about doing that, but I think he needs to actually, like, do it more, because he talks about doing those things. But I think in terms of making the call on those things and actually doing those things, like actually doing them, he doesn't seem to do it enough in that aspect. It's easier on the transition. And the problem with keeping Rasmus, would he rather sit on the bench and maybe get 10-15 minutes here and there, or leave and play every week? Well, that I understand, but what I'm saying is, if I remember clearly, and I guess the reports were accurate, and that's sort of what Ruben said as his answer. But from what we got on our end, Rasmus was, before Sesko came in, Rasmus wanted to stay, wanted to fight for his place. I think even with the purchase of Sesko, he wanted to stay and fight for his place. And we banished him, pretty much. We basically were just like, no, we got Sesko, and, like, you're not even going to feature anymore, and you're gone. Because it was basically, I guess it was already determined that he's going out on loan. Now, I don't know if Rasmus at the end came to the ultimate decision of, well, I'm not going to play, so I'm second fiddle, and they clearly don't rate me, and they've told me I'm not in their plans, so maybe he gave up at the end. But I think I remember that Rasmus didn't actually want to leave the club, and he was highly disappointed that he was, like, basically, like, kind of thrown out the door. So that's why I'm like, I don't really know if I buy that answer, because you had him there in preseason. He looked like he had a point to prove. We signed Sesko and we never saw him again. Like, not even, like, he wasn't even in the squad as a substitute, and we're still on preseason. And his loan didn't happen until, like, way later. So it wasn't like we're not playing him so he doesn't get injured, so he doesn't go on loan. Like, we decided right then and there he was done. And I'm pretty sure at that time he still wanted to stay and fight. So, could Mbeumo work as a 9? I don't know. Maybe. I think it depends on the way we play. Obviously, doing what we tried to do yesterday, sending in 72 million crosses into the box. I mean, I don't think it's going to work very well, crossing the ball to him. But there was some moments yesterday during the match when, like, Everton were still trying to press us, and Everton were still kind of like, they weren't so low block sitting back at all times. And Mbeumo looked like he could break the lines, and Mbeumo looked like, if he was central instead of Xerxes, using that speed he has, I was like, we could probably expose them here. And that was kind of what I was thinking at halftime yesterday, and I was like, I think Josh is just not, he's not sharp and he's too slow for this match. And I was like, we need to, like, put in and shift the front around and have more speed in there. And he does that anyway. Sometimes they do alternate, like with the lineup. Like, when he does do the false 9 thing and he has sort of like Cunha mounted and Mbeumo, they do sort of like alternate back and forth. So I don't think it's like far-fetched to say, could he work as 9? Maybe it wouldn't work in every situation. Maybe you could only do it in certain matches against certain oppositions with, like, what they have in terms of physicality and, how they play and how they line up and stuff like that. I think against a low block team that's very strict in their shape and their position, and they don't really get exposed and they don't really move. I think that it might not work because I don't think there's a lot of space for him to work on. I think he needs probably space to work on if he was to play 9. But yeah, I mean, if you have like an alternating front 3 anyway, which Bruno, Cunha, and Mbeumo, start alternating them around. Or even if you have Mount in there, Cunha and Mbeumo. We've seen that a little before, and it can work to a certain extent. So, them inverted crosses were horrid. This inverted wingback rubbish is not working. Well, my thing is, and I don't know this to like the extent. Like, I don't know like if it's majority minority, but to that point, Grace, my question is, and it's not to argue about it because I don't really have an in-depth analysis opinion on inverted, non-inverted. But what I will say to that is, if other teams do it and they've been successful with doing that, why can't we do it? And why doesn't it work for us? And why is it bad for us and other teams are able to do it? That's like my only thing that I can kind of think of on that inverted thing. Like, I've seen other teams do that. I've seen other teams use it, and I've seen it work quite well for them. So why can't it work for us? Maybe you don't like it, but I'm just saying, like, I just don't know about that. Like, Xerxes a 10, he can't and won't make runs behind. Well, that's what I'm saying. He won't and can't. And, again, I think that's why many people have been saying, he's not a striker. He's not a striker. Like, in terms of, like, a number 9, like Sesko, like yesterday, there was a couple balls, not too many, but there was like 1 or 2 that actually went across the box, across the 6-yard box. I remember one specifically. I don't know who put it in. I don't know if it was Luke Shaw. Somebody put a ball, and it was a good ball, across the 6-yard box. And I'm looking to see where Xerxes is, and he's on the fucking top of the box. And he's on the edge of the box. Instead of continuing to make the run in, like a striker would, towards the goal, where the ball is coming to, he stayed back and hung back because he wanted the pass to come back. But if you're a striker, you know the best run and the best option is to get to that area because the ball is most likely going to come there. It's easier for the ball to go into that position than from where the player was to cut it back about on a 45 to 65 degree angle. So, you know, we got 2 10s. You don't need to drop deep. Yeah, that's another thing. That's what, this is what I'm saying. Like yesterday he did that. Like there's 2 10s, he doesn't need to drop deep, but that's how he plays the game. Like that's how he plays his game. He's not like it's why he's not a striker. He doesn't have that mentality of like a poacher being in the box, like one of my friends, he's Mexican, yeah. And he was talking about Chicharito the other day. I was talking to him. And he was making me think about things like, I was like, as a Chicharito wasn't the most skilled individual. But what he was, for me personally, I think he was one of the best top poachers ever. Because the way he would the ball would end up finding him. He'd always be in the position of the ball. Somehow the ball falls to him. I remember we played that match against Chelsea in I think it was the Community Shield, and ball comes into him. He completely miskicks it. He trips. He kicks the ball and he falls, and he kicked the ball into his own head and still scored a goal. And I'm like, even when he completely messes up, somehow he finds to score a goal because he is, a poacher. And I was just like, I kind of miss that because I feel like there are a lot of times when we're in the game and I don't know what our striker or where our striker is or what's happening with the striker, and I'm just like, the ball comes in and like our striker is nowhere to be found in the position that you want your striker to be in. Now, I will say another thing is that like Sesko, Sesko's not there, and we've never crossed the ball so much in our time with Sesko being on this team. We've never crossed the ball so much, and Sesko's not there. And you can bet your ass that when Sesko comes back, to even get a quarter of a fraction of the amount of crosses that was played yesterday to him. Yeah, it always seems like we're backwards. It always seems like we're taking a misstep here and there. Like Sesko's not there, he's injured. We decide to put in 82 million crosses into the box, and no one is good enough in the air to do it. I mean, Xerxes not good in the air. He's not. And this is why he can't be a striker. This is why he has to. If he's going to be anything at this football club, it's got to be a 10. And if he can't do the 10, then he can't be at this football club. And it's not that I hate Joshua Xerxes on a personal level. He's not a striker, and he has to be a 10. And if he can't be a 10, if he can't perform as a 10, then he can't. What are you doing at this football club? We don't have a use for you. So, and I'm not saying like to sell him out. I'm just saying 10, and he's got to succeed, or we got to move on at some point. Why didn't Tuchel get hate for using Chilwell and James as wingbacks in Chelsea's 3-4-3? There are fullbacks and had Conte and Jorginho in front of the back three. Nobody said it was too defensive. It's a good point. And probably, Grace, I'll tell you why. Or my opinion on why, and I think it's because they were winning, or they did good. Maybe especially after he sort of like won the Champions League with them. What are people gonna say? What are people gonna say about it? Like if he wins the Champions League in that system and doing that sort of stuff, are people going to complain about it? There's people going to complain about it, but the large majority, what are they going to say? They don't want to say. They can't really be like, oh, it's too defensive, it doesn't work, because they're winning matches and they're winning games. So I think that's probably why. I would say off the top of my head, you know, because again, like, this is what I sort of said yesterday, and I'm not trying to like attack anybody. I'm just saying, like, we won 3 matches and we were 5 unbeaten, and nobody in our fan base, it's not people on this channel, I'm just talking in general. Nobody in this fan base, everybody stopped talking about the system and the formation. We played like shit yesterday. We lost, and like everybody just goes back to talking about the system and formation after the loss. And I'm just like, if you really don't like the system and formation, you need to criticize it when we win, and then when we lose, and when we draw. But it seems like the wider general audience of people, because things are bad, they need to find something to blame. And I feel like some people out there, again, they don't have something to, they can't analyze deeper. They can't really look. Their arguments are very white and black, green and red. It's like, system bad, manager bad. There's no depth, there's no like analysis, there's no detail. So when we start winning, there's no argument for them to be made, because they don't have the ideas and thoughts to be able to like deeper analyze things, unfortunately. And now I'm not talking about people on this channel. Like, Grace, don't think I'm coming at you, because as you can see in the chat, you give quite good detail and you give quite good points on other things. I'm saying there are people out there, like yesterday, if you go online, like I was looking this morning before I came on here, like you see people talking about 3-4-3 is ass, blah, blah, blah. Where were these people though when we won the matches? They weren't saying anything, because there's no argument further to there's no further argument. They don't have any further details. There's no breakdown, there's no analysis, there's no thought that goes beyond this. So when you're winning matches and you're in a good position, these people can't say anything, because their argument, I mean, to put it bluntly, they would look like idiots. If United go right now, if we go on a 10-match winning streak, and people are going out and they're saying the system is shit, he's got to change it, it's not good enough, why are you playing defensive wingbacks and blah, blah, blah. Everybody's going to be like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, shut up. Like, you are, what planet are you? We're literally 10 games winning. Like, what are you talking about? So they can't say anything. Now, you could still criticize it and go into like further detail and be like, listen, the formation, the system, not my favorite, but maybe we should make some tweaks here. Maybe, this wingback should be playing over that wingback and stuff like that. But a lot of these people, they don't do that. A lot of these people are just like, formation bad, rip it up. And manager bad, throw him out. And the sky is blue and grass is usually green if you water it. Delo was put on instead of Dorgu. We didn't have Sesko on, but he hooked crosses in for big center forward. Wait, Delo was put on instead of Dorgu. We didn't have Sesko on, but he hooked crosses in for a big center forward. Still, of 2 or 3 headers, Xerxes headers, Pickworth may one great save. Well, I mean, listen, it's a good point. I kind of forgot those specific details. Josh did have, was it 2 or 3 headers, and 2 of them were actually good. Yeah, and Pickford still, he made good saves, like, on those. So there was that aspect. And again, this is why I was saying, like, for Delo, like Dorgu, it's just like that for me. That side is disastrous because it's just like Delo is a right-footed player, and some people will go as far as to say Delo is not good or Delo is shit or whatever. But I don't even think that's not even the point of the discussion. We don't even need to go into that far. It's just like Dorgu is playing very bad, and he is not working. And our solution to that is to play a player that is also struggling, and then he is right footed, and play him on the left hand side, and then try to create chances and opportunities from the left hand side with his right foot. Like, and he is, Delo is not like, it's not like Ahmad. He's not an attacking, like, player first. He's not that great at attacking. Like, I think if you have Delo on the right hand side, one, I think he's more comfortable to make passes and obviously to cross the ball in. And I think that bit he can do very much if he's in form and he's more comfortable. But I think there's a difference in having Ahmad on the right and Delo on the left, because Ahmad, being a better attacking player, he can cut inside. He is a bit more two-footed, and he can shoot the ball and probably score with a higher probability than Diego Delo can. So the left-hand side is just like, I'm seeing him try Dorgu, and I'm seeing him try Delo, and nothing is working. It's one match we start with Delo, and he has a horrible game there. We start with Dorgu, and he has a horrible game there. And it's like, it's not gonna sort itself out. That side at this moment in time is not gonna sort itself out. And the increasing anger and the increasing dislike of Dorgu and people going at him, this is why I'm trying to talk about a solution that he can do and he can change, because I think kind of like the argument we used to have with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Harry Maguire, and how he kept playing Maguire and how Maguire kept playing like shit. And, we had a discussion in this fan base about, you have to take Maguire out of the firing line. He is being embarrassed. He's struggling. He's getting destroyed. And it's not even Maguire's fault to a certain extent of he's not picking himself. The manager keeps picking him. And I'm looking at Dorgu on the left-hand side, and I'm seeing this starting to bubble into that. And even for Delo. And I'm just like, I don't know what we got to do. There's Diego Leon, but apparently he's not ready, because it seems like we're reportedly sending him out on loan in January. So he's not ready. Amos is on loan. We have Dorgu, and then we got Luke Shaw. And I don't know if Luke Shaw can play that position, because they might say medically it's a lot more running. He's going to be having 25 to 50% chance increase of getting injured, and obviously we don't want him to get injured. We want him to stay fit and actually do the season. And so far he stayed fit, and so far he hasn't had injury problems, but he's been playing left center back. So I don't know. I don't know what you do with that left-hand side, but I think continuing to play Dorgu through his struggles there, I don't think is going to help. He's clearly struggling. I think he's going to continue to struggle more, because I don't think he's necessarily going to find his answer in his current form. I think he needs some time in the background working on his game. He needs less of the pressure and less of the focus on him. He needs somebody to take the mantle on that side and take most of the responsibility at this moment in time, and he needs to be the supplement player for that. Just how we were kind of saying for Rasmus Højlund at a point in time, that we needed a more experienced striker. We needed another striker. We need somebody to share the responsibility and that role and the demand, and it was clearly too great for Rasmus Højlund, and we didn't have somebody to do it. I'm looking at the left wingback side, and he's trying to do it with Diego Delo. It's clear as day that's why Diego Delo is being played on that side, because he has been at Manchester United for longer, and he's more experienced. He's played international matches. He's played Manchester United matches. He's played in Champions League. He's played in Europe, and that's clearly why he's doing these things. But it's not, Delo is not the answer for that side. Because he's struggling and he's right-footed. It's just not gonna. It's just not gonna work. It's not working. It's clearly not working. It's not going to work. So, let me just see and pull up a couple things that we're getting out from the news for Manchester United. And by the way, Aiden Heaven, he was on the bench yesterday, and I think there was still a valid argument in terms of, like, again, we don't know if Shaw can play, but at some point, listen, Shaw ended up playing left wing back alongside Diego Delo at one point during the match. I mean, everybody was forward. And the reason why I went into this is because I'm watching Luke Shaw cross the ball, and he's actually putting in very good crosses. His crosses seem the best out of everybody on our team. So I'm like, well, if he's the best crosser and he's the experienced player, then I feel like that's a solution. And I'm like, well, you could have not put Delo on that side. You took Mazzawari off and you put Diallo back there. You could have not put Delo on that side, and we had Aiden Heaven. And the last time I saw Aiden Heaven, he came in, he played good, and he looked like a strong player. And he's on the bench and we don't use him. And now Aiden Heaven tonight is playing for the under-21s. And just right now, just seen, about 20 minutes ago, he just had a goal-saving clearance. Now, I know it's in the under-21s, but what I'm saying is just like, we do have different choices and options. But Ruben, I think part of Ruben's problem, and my friend that was a Sporting fan, he told me that this was going to happen. And he told me that Ruben is like this. Ruben is very stubborn with the players in terms of selection. Like, he will pick the best team and he will go with them for a long period of time. And he said even the Sporting fans, and there's a difference between United and Sporting, but he said even the Sporting fans, when he came in and he was doing his thing, even the Sporting fans were getting very annoyed and very pissed off that Ruben wouldn't change or drop some of the players. And he kept forcing and forcing and forcing. Now, how long can you get away with that at Manchester United? Because obviously the circumstances are quite different. Our club has way higher demands, and we're on a totally different level to Sporting. So he might have been able to get through that period at Sporting because he was always going to be having more time. But I don't think he's going to get that same amount of time and that same amount of patience, because clearly our fan base doesn't have lots of patience. I mean, we've lost so much patience over the last 12 years. So how long is he going to be able to get away with that? Because my friend told me that this is what he does. And he told me this when he left Sporting. So about a year ago to date, he told me that this is going to happen and that he's going to do this. And this is why I talk in the sense of, I know that he's going to be doing these things. But at some point, at Manchester United, he needs to look at a couple things and say, I will keep some things the same, but I need to try something different here. And I think he truly believes, and I think he was hoping, with these wins and sort of the 5-game unbeaten, I think he was a bit worried with the last 2 matches prior to the match yesterday. But I think he was looking at it, and I think he was really hopeful that, like, we're actually have turned a corner so he can continue with the way he was doing things, because he actually believes that the best lineup that he can put out, the best way to set up, is the team that he's been doing, which is Bruno in the middle next to Casemiro, and having these players in those positions. But what I think is that it's not good enough. It's going to be too inconsistent, and over a long period and over the course of the season, it's going to be too much it's going to be too volatile. It's going to be good sometimes, but it's going to be shit like we saw yesterday. And uh, if you're talking about having a good and successful campaign in the Premier League, we can't be volatile. We can't be inconsistent like this. We can't win 3 matches and then all of a sudden start downtrending and then ultimately get a loss like we did yesterday, especially in that situation where we had a chance to go to top 4. We were home, we were favorites, we were playing Everton. They got a red card. They literally did us a monumental favor of being a man down within 15 minutes at home at Old Trafford, and then we put in a performance like that and a result like that. So I think he needs to make changes. Now we're getting a couple updates here. I will hit part of the news because it's been highly opinionated topics. We got about 15 minutes left in the show, so if you want to get your thoughts, comments in, anything like that, smash the like button as well if you didn't. But one of the things that we're getting here is João Gomez is close to joining Manchester United, apparently. The player's side is fully open to the move, with no doubts about his desire to join if a deal is agreed. Well, I don't know if I will say he's close to joining Manchester United by reading that update, because from the player's side, I don't think I've ever had a worry. I think if United were like, hey, do you want to join us? I think João Gomez would be like, yeah. What do you mean? I'm going from Wolves, who are about to get relegated probably this season, to United. And United is huge. Like, obviously, yeah, I'll come to your club. I don't think João Gomez agreeing to come to us was ever a big problem. I don't even know if there's any other serious interest from other clubs looking to get him in January. There might be one or two, but how serious are they? The issue is obviously and always going to be with Wolves, if they are going to allow him to move and what fee they demand. So I don't take this sort of update with he's close to joining Man United, because until we negotiate with Wolves, or actually start negotiating with Wolves, then I'm not, he's not close to joining Man United. I don't think the player's side being fully open to the move, I don't think was ever in doubt. I don't think that was ever going to be a problem. I was never concerned about that. I think the whole thing is, how much does Wolves want to do this deal, and how much money is Wolves going to demand, and what is it going to cost us? So until that sort of starts getting figured out, I wouldn't say he's close to joining United. But I mean, listen, Ruben said some things, like, I'm gonna pull them up as well, because he's had some statements to make. He's made some big statements again. This tends to happen. He does make big statements, and he does say things very bluntly, especially after bad results. I'm looking here. Manchester United's record under Amorim, less than 50% possession versus more than 50% possession. So we've played, I don't know what this is. All right, so for Ruben Amoriim, less than 50% possession and more than 50% possession. We played 15 matches under Ruben where we've had less than 50% possession. And in those 15 matches, we have 7 wins, 5 draws, 3 losses, and 26 points, averaging 1.73 points per match. We have played 24 matches where we have had more than 50% possession, and we have 5 wins, 4 draws, and 15 losses, and 19 points, averaging 0.79 points per match. And this is why I was saying the other day, at this moment in time, we seem to still be a team that does counter-attacking transition. We still seem to be a team that we are better to that. And I think that's because we have a squad of 22. If you look at the team yesterday, what are the differences in the team? from when Ten Hag had it to what Ruben has. And it's really only Brian and Mbeumo and Sonny Lemons. And you can argue, well, he only had De Ligt for a little bit and then he got sacked. Fair enough. De Ligt, Xerxes as well. But I mean, they were still under him and he still had a few months and was still playing in that way. So we clearly are a team that isn't comfortable with the majority of the possession. We are clearly still a team that can't be more creative and figure out what to do when we have more possession, because that means that the other teams are not, they're not high up the pitch. They're not controlling the match. We are in their half and we are struggling. It's against low block teams, against teams that are very strict in their shape and their formation, and their positions in the thing. So it's a clear indication. And we do tend to play better. I have noticed that. Like, in Liverpool, we got the win. And we were away from Anfield. We were away from home and we were at Anfield. We didn't have possession of that game. We didn't have majority possession. We won that match. Brighton, we didn't have possession of that match. We were home. We didn't have majority possession of that match. And we were home. And we won that match. And then when we go into matches and we do have more than 50% possession, like yesterday, we had majority of the possession. We didn't win the match. We didn't get 3 points. We didn't score a goal. So we clearly have a problem. Our team still has a problem, and our team is still very much more of sort of a counter-attacking team than a possession team. And I think this is a big indication of one of the major problems that we currently find our squad in, is that Ruben is, his thing is possession, and it's got to be possession in the opposition's half, and we clearly struggle when we have majority possession. So, and we don't play counterattack. Now, how do you play counterattack when you're playing a team that plays a low block and they don't want possession necessarily? They don't want to control the match. They want to hit you on the counter. So it's not like we can just switch it and go and just be like, let's just do counterattack every single match, because against some teams, you're just not going to be able to do it. But I mean, less than 50% possession, played 15 matches, and we have 7 wins, 5 draws, 3 losses, and 26 points and 1.73 points per match under Ruben Amoriim. And then 24 matches with more than 50% possession, and we have 5 wins, 4 draws, 15 losses, and 19 points. I think that those stats are damning. That's a clear indication of what is wrong with our squad and what is wrong with our team right now. United Keys says Ruben might not need to change the formation, but he needs to change his selection of personnel, definitely. Well, yeah, I think that is, I think it's quite clear that, and again, it's sort of like Ten Hag 2.0 here for me. In a similar sense, it's the same, it's different, but it's the same. Ten Hag refused to drop Rashford. He had the same issues with Bruno Fernandes in terms of can't drop him, won't drop him. This one is more of, I don't think we're necessarily asking for Bruno to be dropped at this moment in time, but we're saying Bruno Fernandes should not be playing in the position he's playing and he should be moved. You got the situation going on at left wing back. And so it is similar to Ten Hag in that Ten Hag refused to change players, drop players. The players that he kept going with, he was also similar in his, that he was convinced that it's his best team, it's his best way, and they kept letting him down, and it also just didn't work. And ultimately, he got sacked for it. And, Ruben is in a similar position where, listen, you can add in last season if you want, you can separate it if you want, because of the circumstances of, just making a change like that in the middle of the season and going from what we had to doing what he wants, which is totally different. So it was always going to cause, like unstableness in that situation. But he is in the position of, he is doing the same thing as Erik Ten Hag, in that he is trying to force through players playing in a certain position and with a certain lineup, and he's refusing to try and change it. He's refusing to try something different with personnel. And not even Ten Hag, but we've seen Ole Gunnar Solskjaer do that. And these managers have gotten the sack for that. And I think the easiest fix, even to buy himself points with the fans, maybe it goes a little bit his way, maybe it doesn't, and they'd say it's total failure. But if we see the manager take Bruno out of that position, put Kobe Mainu in there, and put Bruno, in a different position, and we see him do something at left wing back and try different players somewhere, I think some people will say, well, look, he's basically tried fucking everything, and these players can't get the job done. So it's just like, whatever. And then some people will obviously go back to the formation and the system and be like, it doesn't, these players don't work in it, and it's the system and the formation. But where it is right now is people are like, they have doubts, or they don't believe in the system formation. And then on top of that, he's not changing personnel. He's not trying to do this, and people don't agree with the personnel. Nobody in our fan base, I haven't seen one fan anywhere, and I see all types of crazy takes. I see very good takes. I see the most nonsense shit I've ever heard in my life for clicks and rage bait and whatever they want to do. I have not seen, not even for a clickbait, not even for rage bait, have I seen a single person, not even a fake Manchester United account, fan account, that does things for clicks and interaction and uses our name. I haven't seen one single person advocate and say, you know what, Bruno Fernandes in that position isn't that bad. It's not really a problem. We need to fix things in other places. I haven't seen one person say that they want to see that continue. And he's continuing with this. So he's naive about it. He's stubborn about it. Whatever adjective you want to use. Again, I don't really care about it. It's just the sole fact of you need to fucking change it. It's just as simple as that. You need to change that. If you want to stand a chance, if you want to have an opportunity, if you want to keep some people on your side, if maybe you want to get a little bit of time, then I think the fan base would like to see you do a couple different things in terms of personnel on the pitch. We had the same discussion with Erik ten Hag. He didn't do it. He got sacked for it. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did the same thing at this football club. We had a discussion about it. There was a divide in the fan base over it. He ultimately got sacked, and it led to his sacking. And the same will be for Ruben if he continues with this. Because if you do another 3 months doing the same thing that we're doing with the same personnel playing the same way, we're going to obviously continue to get inconsistent results because it is an inconsistent lineup in that sense. Axe is here. Says, nice title. My answer is yes, obviously. Well, it's a question because this is the discussion that is going on in the fan base, and I don't shy away from these things. So, Axe says, I've been screaming and kicking, stating that he's not on our required level ever since his first 30 minutes in charge of a game. I've been repeating this statement vehemently and deliriously. Well, maybe he's not, but maybe he needs more time, Because, I mean, listen, Arteta had sort of similar issues and problems. Now, he might not be Arteta, whatever, but Arteta had similar problems. Now, Arteta has been given a lot of time, and there's been a lot of change at Arsenal. So I still think that there could be an argument for that. He is a young manager, Ruben Amoriim, and he is, I won't say that he's not inexperienced. Like, his experience is sporting. His coaching career isn't an extensive long one, but neither was Arteta's. And, so he might need more time. We might need more changes over that time if he actually learns and changes things and accepts that some things don't work and makes the changes, you can grow from that. I believe that. Is it going to happen? I think it's yet to be seen, because it's all about what happens in those stages. And if you do make changes, and if you do admit that some things don't work, and it's on him. This is what I'm saying. It's on him. I put it on, like, up to him. It's up to him to do these things. It's up to him to learn. It's up to him to change. It's up to him to make changes. It's up to him to make the decisions. I will allow him to do this. I will allow him to make those things. I have no problem with watching him do this. And if he fails, then at the end we say, well, he clearly got it wrong. He clearly fucked it up, and it clearly didn't work, and he's gone. And I can live with that. I have no problem with that, because I still think, regardless, we need to go through a process. And it's been really rough, this process that we're trying to go through right now. Who the hell plays with 5 defenders, big, one man up, and 80 minutes to go? Again, I get that argument, but also at the same time, I would hit back and say, we still had 18 shots, 22 in total, and we had 3 on target. So could he have made changes earlier and got Kobe in and got Mount in earlier? Sure. I still think, and I still feel, from what I saw from the entire team yesterday, that I don't think we would have... I don't think, even if he changed it at the 20-minute mark, and he took off a center-back, and he took off a wing-back, and he put in Mount, and he put in Kobe, I don't think we win that match. Not with the way the whole team was playing. I just don't see it. From the initial kickoff, we just weren't there. We weren't there. So I get what people are saying about that, but I feel like for that specific match yesterday, I just don't think we actually that actually gets us to win that match. I don't think we score. I don't think I don't think anything happens. Now, I could be wrong, and maybe, we'll never know, because it didn't happen, so we can't actually get the answer to it, because we didn't see it play out. But from the entire squad playing like that, and I'm thinking of Mount and Maino coming on, and then your only other 2 actual solutions is an 18-year-old kid in Shea Lacey and Manuel Ugarte. I don't think that the team would have gotten through just because of the way they were playing. Should have put Bruno up and Maino in and Euro out. We simply aren't a 3 at the back kind of team. This isn't our DNA. We can't afford to struggle like this. We have been regressing for months on. And how long are we going to keep suffering like this? Well, as long as, for me, the way I see it, it's going to continue on until it either completely falls apart and it is done and dusted. Like, there's no chance, no wiggle room, nothing. And that's how I see the situation right now. We're pretty much in a place of, it's either going to totally miserably fail and fall apart, and the season will end in disaster, or it works. That's pretty much where I think we are right now. Because I don't think... like... in the current circumstances of the league and the table, they're not going to sack him at this moment in time. And for him to get sacked, we have to be 12, 13, 14, 15th, and we got to be like 10, 12 points probably off of, a European spot, which by that point in time, the season is over. Now, people will say, and I said this before, and I seen this before, and I said that I seen people saying we have a good chance for top 4, but not with this manager. And I will make the counter argument to that, and I will say we've done that twice already, and we've seen what comes out of that, and it doesn't necessarily mean that things will be better. Now, if you were to do that, maybe, and we get somebody else in, maybe things would be better, and maybe we would get a European spot. But saying 100%, which I think is incorrect because nobody knows for sure, and we've just had two examples of it back to back in terms of we sacked Ten Hag and everybody was pretty much ready for Ten Hag to go. And people thought sacking the manager would make things better. And quite clearly didn't go that way. And when we sacked Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and we got on Rangnick, it got worse. So there's no guarantee that we sack this guy and we get top 4. There's no guarantee of that. You can believe that it'll happen, but even if we do that, you have to accept there is a chance that it doesn't happen. Because we've seen it happen before. And listen, we aren't 3 at the back kind of team. This isn't our DNA. I would make an argument as we've lost our DNA a long time ago. We lost, in my opinion, our DNA was lost when Sir Alex retired and we ripped up the club from the inside out. So, and I don't know if you can go and refine that DNA. Because it's been 12 years, football has moved on and changed. And maybe there's some core principles to our DNA, but we need to create a modern United DNA then. And in their opinion, their view, that's what they're trying to do with this. Because modern teams and modern football are playing 3 at the back. It does play in different ways. Inter does it. Other teams do it. Xabi Alonso's doing it. Wait, what? They put borderline AI corn ads. Did they really? Well, that's weird. I might have to go into the setting. There's a setting for that. We don't need that to be happening. So, thank you for telling me that, Axe. I will look into that. There's a setting on there that I can ban certain stuff. I had it open because I didn't know that they would. I had it untouched. It's because I didn't know that they would put such a thing like that on YouTube. That's crazy, but I will look into that. So thank you for letting me know, because obviously we don't want that sort of stuff being advertised. Richard says, a sad day today, 20 years since we lost the greatest player in the world, George Best. But rest in peace, George Best. I didn't even know that today was the day that he passed away. So yeah, thanks for that. And rest in peace, Georgie. We miss you, but and we thank you for everything that you've done for this football club, man. And you will always be a legend and always be remembered. So Alex says, bro, worst season in EPL justified for the hope of getting into UCL via European League just to lose the final against Tottenham, regressing on all levels, keeping in flexible, useless tactics. Well, again, the worst season in EPL, I'm not going to shy away and say he has no blame for it, but I split the blame across the board there because obviously he's in charge and he's made decisions during those periods of times that some of them weren't very good and they were bad managing decisions. But some of that for the worst EPL season, it has to go on Ineos as well. Like the blame has to be shared around because they're the ones that hired him. They're the ones that made the decision. They're the ones that decided to keep Ten Hag and sack him in November. They're the ones that, forced Ruben to make a decision to come in November and not finish his season out and stuff like that. And they had their reasons for it. But, if it doesn't work and it backfired and they were wrong, then they were wrong and it backfired. So I can't give Ruben 100% to blame for worst EPL season because Ineos played a huge hand on that. So it's got to be split across the board in that sense. Um, Trust me, with a competent manager in charge, we will have a chance at top five. I mean, I don't know. I don't know at this current moment in time. I don't feel that way. I still the problems that we have in the team. I'm highly concerned that I see problems going from one manager to the next manager, in the squad. Um, you know, and especially with this specific one, because going from Oli football to Ten Hag football, it was still very counterattack. It was still very, they had similar vibes to it. This last one going from Ten Hag to Ruben and having a lot of the same problems that are in the squad in terms of mentality, sort of being like a light switch. They can perform, in one match and they can't perform in another match, and they can't hit levels and they can't stay focused. Those problems are going to be there for the next guy. And I don't think the next guy, competent, whether you believe he's competent and this guy's not or not, I don't think that guy has a magic answer for that. And I think those things, those problems, they're going to take a few seasons to get fixed. And we're going to have to make more changes at the football club. And even when I look at the squad, Ineos have brought in about a new first 11, pretty much. We still have another 11 from the previous regime. So regardless, and I said this yesterday, it's not about Ruben, but it's regardless about who is the manager. The team still needs upgrading, and changes still need to be made in the squad. Like AI girlfriend and stuff. Well, that is on the rage, apparently. So, Richard says, Eric, we were annoyed with Ten Hag, you included, yes, me included, because he wasn't flexible with his tactics. This guy is the same. January is coming, and I wouldn't let Ruben spend my green shield stamps. Well, listen, to that point, I will say, January is coming, and regardless of Ruben, because I've been saying this for time, regardless of Ruben, we still need to go and buy, and we still need to spend, and we still need to improve. And the way we operate now is not how we operated in Ten Hag. Ten Hag was in full control of that. Ten Hag had be-all, end-all, say, full power. The club was powerless in transfers to that certain extent. Ruben is not, and he has an input. But a proper football club has to continue planning with the manager and for the future of a possibility without the manager. So Manchester United shouldn't go into January and be like, well, things might not work out with Ruben and we might sack him, so we can't go and buy players. They need to continue building the project and they need to go and buy players. Because if we don't, if the argument is, well, Ruben might fail and he might get sacked, so let's not get anybody, we're pushing ourselves backwards because we're not moving forward. So properly, in my opinion, a proper football club, and I've seen examples from other football clubs do this, like a Bayern Munich, they know what they're doing, like they know what they need, they know what they want to do, and they're going to go and still buy players. And for what we have in terms of a squad, if you make a change at manager, you go get a manager that fits whatever players you're getting. And whatever's the future for that. So, yes, Ineos are to blame, but it backfired horribly, and now we have to get rid of Amorim, then Ineos, and finally the Glazers. Well, I would like to get rid of the Glazers first. Yeah, I think actually, Axe, for you specifically and what you want, the Glazers would go first. Everything would go after that. If you get rid of the Glazers first, I think quite clearly Ineos goes and they can't stay because they'll get bought out with the Glazers. And if you have a totally brand new regime, just like we've seen what Ineos has done with Ten Hag, and they wanted to get their guy in, well, new owners will be like, well, we didn't hire Ruben, and they would change him, most likely. Like it's like a 90% chance that that would happen. Then maybe they would stick with him in the essential beginning. Maybe they'd give him an opportunity. Maybe they wouldn't give him an opportunity at all, and they'd be like out the door because you're not our guy. So I think actually, for you specifically, I think you would want the Glazers out first because everything else is like a domino effect after that in that way. Um, Ray says we have no plan B. We needed to change the way we was playing yesterday, but we stopped wing back to wing back, midfield to midfield, and we played the same way. I mean, lots of people are saying that. And again, I get it, but I still think for yesterday, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I just think all the players playing the same way. I don't even know. Getting rid of a wing back and getting rid of a center back and putting on the midfielders, like I just talked about. Like, I just from what I saw from the players, I just like I don't think we were gonna score. You know, literally somebody commented on the video yesterday and was like, we could have played till Christmas and we wouldn't have scored. And I just feel like no matter what we did, even if you made those changes that people are saying, I still don't think we would have probably found an answer on the pitch with the way that they were performing. I mean, they were like so sloppy, so unconfident, so just, you know, not on the same page. They just were really bad. Ineos will not spend in January. Well, they have to. They have to, and they should. And you know, if they don't spend in January, then you know, collapse the whole project. You know, I don't think they really have a choice. And I think we probably have a bigger chance of spending this January than we've ever had in any January ever. So if they don't do it, I mean, I put it quite simply. If they don't do it, rest in peace to this season, and rest in peace to the entire project, because we will not get a European spot. Ruben will probably most likely fail. He'll end up getting sacked, and United will be in a very bad position. And we're going to lose more money. And then I don't know how they plan to go forward from this season to the next season to improve if they totally fuck this up. We have an opportunity to get players in January. We have money for it. So if they don't spend, why? Because they're being Glazers 2.0 and they don't want to spend in the first quarter? That's not acceptable. So I don't really believe that right now, because I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt that they actually give a fuck and that they actually care and they're trying to do the right things. Doesn't mean they get everything right, but if they don't spend any money in January, then what are we doing? You know? Lucky says, I already backed managers selling Ugarte January, buying midfield from the Premier League. Well, this is the thing. Like, I don't even think. Listen, we might be surprised. Maybe we sell Ugarte, but I don't think we're going to sell Ugarte in January. I think if Ugarte was to get sold, it'd probably be in summer. I don't think it's going to happen. Terrible in-game management. Eric could have been our manager and would have performed better. Hey, what's that supposed to mean? I don't have bad ideas. But I wouldn't say that, because I think that's, listen, when you're managing the football, when you're actually managing the football club with all the shit that's going on, it's not easy. It's not an easy job. So, and these people have professional licenses. So I don't put him down like that. No way. No way. They should spend, but they won't. The only thing they are open to is loans. Well, I mean, it doesn't, from the updates that we're getting, it doesn't necessarily feel that way, because I mean, we're getting some updates that, they're looking to um get in João Gomez. I mean, we just got one quite before. I mean, Ruben has just had some quotes, but I mean, we just got this update here. João Gomez is aware that several key players could depart should relegation become a threat. João Gomez is viewed as a perfect profile to strengthen the midfield rotation, aligning with Jason Wilcox's strategy of improving squad depth while keeping spending controlled. So I don't think they're gonna go crazy with spending, but if you tell me you buy João Gomez in January and you get a loan or something in, or whatever, or you buy somebody else and you get a loan in the midfield, that's business in January. I'm fine with that. But we can't do absolutely zero, and we can't do things that are on the level of Agalo and Wout Weghorst. We got to do something that actually can help us in the middle of the season, and give us a boost. So, but Ruben has come out again, and he's again, because I guess he's been asked about the formation once again from the press, and because people are talking about it again, and his stance on this once again, that says we can say it's a 4-4-2, but 5 minutes later it's a 4-3-3 or a 3-4-3. I'm open to everything. People think I'm fixated on one idea, but I simply start from a base. And I think to a certain extent that's true, because that's what I've been saying that he does. On paper, it starts one way, but when you analyze it on the pitch, it does take different shapes and forms. And sometimes he gets the call wrong. Maybe you should do it earlier. Maybe you should have picked a different way of it playing out. But, Ray said we don't have a plan B. And I don't think it's a classic plan B. I don't think he just completely switches it directly to a flat, whatever you want it to be. Like, it doesn't switch directly flat to a 4-4-2. I think it becomes a hybrid of sorts. And I think that's quite clear, because when I watch the game, you can see it. Like, sometimes the wingbacks are more defensive, sometimes they're more forward. In a couple matches, we had one of the center-backs playing almost as like a defensive mid. Bruno getting pushed up more. So we've seen that happen. Maybe he has to do it more. Maybe he doesn't do it enough. But we've seen him do that. It's not like he's done it 0 times. I don't think you could say he's done it 0 times. And I don't think it's fair to say that it literally plays as a 3-5-2 static 100%, and they're fixated to those positions. The fans are jellyfish. That's lucky. What our plan as ownership in Manchester United doing Arsenal project, and we are open to bring one player each season. Igalo Weghorst is the way we will be going in January. I don't think we will, Richard. I don't. I disagree with you there. I don't think we can't afford to do that, and I don't think we can do that, and I don't think that's Ineos's level, because that's literally Glazer's no plan, Richard Arnold, and Ineos. They might not be good enough, but they're certainly not Richard Arnold and Ed Woodward. I mean, they're not, and the system, the hierarchy that we have is way better than what we used to have, and I think signings like Agalo and Wout Weghorst is, it's not even close to being on a football level in any sense. So I don't think we'll be going that route. I don't think we will. And if we do, then my conclusion to that is we're fucked. So, which is why I don't think we can, because if they truly want to succeed and they're truly serious and they're actually doing a proper job, there's no way that they can do things like that. That's so unserious it's such a joke that it's just like if they do things like that, they will lose any and all credibility that they have. Some people will say left, but yeah, like there are people that believe in that in them and are still backing them. So, um, all right, guys, we don't need to fight amongst ourselves. Just hired Christopher Felix. I don't know who that is. But listen, anyway, we've been live long enough because I was supposed to get off about 25 minutes ago. This wasn't supposed to be a long one, so I kept it going because some of you joined late and you were getting involved in the chat, and I wanted to get to your thoughts and opinions. So, um, we're gonna get off. Please hit the like button if you didn't. If you did, thank you very much. I appreciate all of you for getting involved and sharing your opinions and thoughts as always. Some very good discussion. And I will say two acts because I like to be even handed. I have a go at you when I think you say nonsense, but I think today, you were actually being a lot more serious and you actually made good points. So I appreciate that. I do. Thank you. And yeah, just everybody be good. And listen, tomorrow I probably won't go live. Thursday is Thanksgiving, but I'll do a show and I'll stop. I'll say hello, and it won't be a massively long one. So if you want, try and get in there as early as possible, and I'll give you an update on that. It'll probably be for Thursday. It'll probably be 7 p.m., 8 p.m. UK time at around that time. So be out on the lookout for that. And then we're gonna be getting closer to the next match, which is Crystal Palace. So we'll go from there. And I'll see maybe sometime this week. I might if I have time to create another short video. I'll be dropping a short video on the channel once again under a specific topic. I need to pick a topic. If you guys want to give me maybe some suggestions that you would like a topic to be picked, drop it in the comments underneath this live, or specifically this live. Drop it under this live. Give me something if you want to see or you want a topic discussed. Short video for the channel, and I'll take it into consideration. And if I like it and I think it's a good topic then I'll go ahead with your topic. So. Richard says, thanks everyone, stay safe. And yes, I know I am doing Thanksgiving. I know you do Thanksgiving, so but the others might not be doing Thanksgiving, you know what I mean? So I remember you do celebrate Thanksgiving. Your wife's from Texas. So yeah. But other than that, everybody be good. Go watch the Champions League games because they're on. I gotta go take care of some things and maybe catch the end of the Champions League games. Let's do George Best's 20 great goals. So that's a big challenge for me. But you know what? I'll keep maybe not one for this week, but for a future one, maybe in the next couple weeks, I could do that. I'll set it up in a certain way because I think I gotta get to do that. I would like to get clips. I need to get clips that and I need to make sure that I don't get hit with a copyright for that. And then it's a lot of big work. So I need to start a little bit more simpler, maybe just like a topic where I can talk about it and put some images in it and make it look nice and flow good. Something like that. But yeah, we could do things like that going forward. You know what I mean? So yeah. But yeah, everybody be good. Nice talking to you. Stay safe and we'll see each other in a couple days.